And we're back again, everybody. Friday once more. We survived another week, Morg. How'd it go?
Oh my gosh, this week has been a hard one. It's not like quarantine wasn't already getting it to us, but I feel like I should be at the top of a mountain and being like, no, it's just the descent, right? Like it's the second half of the year. But instead, I'm like, there's another great climb to make.
It's so true. I mean, you would think this would be getting easier, but it feels like every week's a little bit harder as we creep closer and closer to 2021, Morg. What does that mean?
Well, I know. And I mean, the second half of the year is the part of the year that just goes so fast. But because of quarantine, I feel like it's not going to. And it's the part of the year where it's like Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, like everything just happens really quickly.
All the fun stuff.
But all of it seems like it's going to be weird this year. And so it's like me questioning, like, well, what am I going to do for Halloween? Like dress up by myself, like with a clown face and sit and watch TV?
Oh, whoa, Morg. Let's cross that bridge when we get there because I haven't thought about that yet. And I don't think I'm in the mindset to start thinking about that. But okay, sure. You can sit in your creepy clown mask and watch TV on Halloween.
You can see the rabbit hole I'm going down.
I know. Man, you're like planting a seed. Now I'm going to be like, is Christmas? Are we all going to be spread out? Like nobody's allowed to touch the boxes? I don't want to talk about this.
Well, on that happy note, we are two B's from Lil D, and I'm Morg.
And I'm Joe.
And we enjoyed our theme last week so much because we started off with science, and we're going to go through all the subjects of elementary school. So this week's theme is reading, writing, English, whatever you called it in elementary school. We are going through that subject this week.
Yes, all the subjects that Morg thrived at and I really struggled at.
Not true.
Just wait. By the end of the episode, you guys, including you, Morg, will agree with me.
Okay, we'll come back to that and see if my mind has been changed.
Yeah, we'll see.
But Joe, I have some B baggage this week, which of course we want to start with.
Woohoo. What is it?
Okay, this is it's just a short little one. On our Instagram, I always post of course like summaries of our episodes if we have posted anything relating to an episode, and you can see those in the highlights at the top. But from our first episode on our Instagram, I had posted a video of me buying corn dogs. Do you remember our first episode, Joe?
Morg, I do. And if anyone wants to go back and listen to it, it's called 2 Burritos in Quarantine. And just a quick check-in, how close are you to becoming a burrito?
Oh, I'm like 100% a burrito. Got like cheddar cheese sprinkled on me, a little bit of sour cream. I'm there.
Yes.
Burrito bod.
Yeah, I think I got that burrito bod. Yes. And I definitely have no idea. I've lost count. I think I've eaten well over like 500 burritos though.
Well, when we kicked off our podcast back in, oh my gosh, April, it feels like years ago.
Wasn't it March? Was it April?
Yeah, it was April. That was when our first episode dropped. And we apologize because we did not get better mics until episode, I think, 10. So if you do go back and listen, bear with us because, as you know, our mics improved.
We're growing.
But somebody responded to that highlight on our Instagram, and I just wanted to call it out because it made me laugh. I won't say the person's name for privacy reasons, of course. Respect.
We are respectful.
But they responded to me restocking my corn dogs, which, as we talked about in that episode, is really what I live off of in quarantine. I am a food aisle gal.
Shout out frozen food. Thank you for your existence.
And corn dogs are just my little like go-to when I'm like, I'm not gonna Uber Eats something today. I just need a quick corn dog.
Yes.
This person, they are from France, and so I guess they had never had corn dogs before, and they slid into our DMs. And, you know, they just sent a quick note that they really want to try corn dogs and they'd never seen it before, but it seems tasty. And I was like, whoa, you've never seen a corn dog before. Pause. Hard pause.
Wow. And I'm shocked. I also don't know, what does that say about American cuisine? Like, you know, this French person's like, ooh, corn dog. Is that a chunk of pork on a stick, deep fried? Huh, interesting. Like, I don't know how I feel about this.
They said it seems tasty.
And it is tasty. It's delicious.
Okay, so it's just like what the state fair reeks of fried meat.
Well, and in Texas, fried everything.
Yeah, that's true. Well, if this person reaches back out to me once you hear this episode, I would love to send you a box of corn dogs. So if you want to let me know your address, I can let you in on the secret, because I said corn dogs are the secret to happiness. They are. Like, have a bad day, corn dog. Need a little pick me up, corn dog.
I mean, and I would like to note, like, about half the times Morg and I are on FaceTime together doing this, Morg has got a corn dog.
Yeah, this isn't like made up. Okay, this isn't a kitschy thing that I say to be quirky. Okay.
Yeah. No, Morg is not, this isn't like an ad that Morg is getting paid to promote corn dogs. Morg just really loves them.
I really do. But I did want to say thank you for sliding into our DMs. Thank you for enlightening me that some of the world does not know about corn dogs, and I will help spread the news. So send me your address. You know who you are. I will help you out.
Curious how mailing corn dogs would go, but you know, again, we'll deal with that when it comes.
Amazon.
Oh, Amazon.
Amazon can do anything, and they'll figure it out.
Okay, but then, but that worries me too, Morg, because I once bought macaroni and cheese in Spain, and it was like Kraft or something. And I was super excited, but because they don't allow half the made up ingredients or whatever that we have in the States, where it's like yellow 12 and like, I don't know. Do you know what I mean? All those ingredients that you're like,
oh, like corn syrup.
Yeah, all that corn syrup. They don't allow it. So the flavor's not as good, but I guess it's a little healthier.
Yeah, they're a little stricter on what they'll allow Europeans to put in their body.
I know, but come on, guys. We're really sacrificing taste here. I'll take all the chemicals.
Well, I'll have to figure it out. Hopefully I get the challenge. I'd love to send a corn dog package. And if you too want a corn dog package, let me know. Slide into our DMs. Let us know about your experience with corn dogs. Mine's been quite extensive.
Yeah, wow. I didn't know you loved them this much.
Yeah, I actually found, I'll have to post it, a picture of me at the state fair probably like 5 years ago. I was holding like the world's largest corn dog at the state fair, and that's what I spent my tickets on.
Oh, you're going to have to share that.
Yeah, I definitely will.
Oh, that's...
Like, we went for a work event, and I got, a certain number of tickets, and that's what me and my friend went and got. We were supposed to be doing a scavenger hunt. I don't know what happened there.
You guys were like, forget this. Let's get a corn dog. Sounds right.
I'm like, did you see that sign for the state's biggest corn dog? I think we know what our fate is.
I'm sure corn dog's on the scavenger list.
Yeah, but that's our bee baggage this week. Make sure to send us a message. And for those of you who don't know what our bee baggage is, it's just where you send us your thoughts, comments, questions about previous episodes, or just, struggles you're going through this week that we can help you out with. Mm-hmm. And by help you out, I mean, maybe talk a little crap, maybe give some advice, to be determined. The bees don't know until you send the question.
Yeah, that's true. And I was going to say, I mean, we can barely help ourselves. So I don't know if we can help you out, but we'll definitely be there for you.
We can at least share a struggle that's similar.
That we can.
Solidarity. Well, let's move into our topic this week. So as y'all remember, last week, science, we went over it. We do not love science. Mm-mm. But here we are, a new week, a new subject. Welcome to school, everyone.
Oh my gosh.
Y'all are all starting school, or maybe your kids are, but we are going to touch on reading, writing, and English this week.
That is so many, like, in one. That's a lot, because I mean,
yeah, but they combine them.
I know, but that's all I'm just was going to say was, like, it seems like math is one thing, but if you're a reading, writing, and reading, writing, and English teacher, like, you got a lot. You got to be organized.
Yeah, that's true. And I feel like, why was it all combined? I feel like I just had it called reading, but that's where we did everything.
Well, we had in
elementary school. Did they tell us when we were switching over?
I think it's just, I guess, because they're all related, like you're working on your grammar and you're writing your
words.
You're probably writing about things you're reading. Yeah, you're working on your words. And if you're me, you're trying to attempt spelling, but never really got a good grasp on that.
Well, that's a good call out, Joe, because math is just math. Like, math's the only one where I'm like, yes, you are what you say you are.
Yes.
Science, like we talked about, ever evolving. I don't know what's happening there.
Mm-mm.
Reading, writing, English, like, just a lot packed in. What are we doing today? Am I using a pencil? Am I using my eyes? Am I reading aloud? I don't know.
Yeah, am I writing a paper? And is this all supposed to be invented from my imagination? Is it a narrative? Is it a nonfiction piece? I don't even know.
A nonfiction piece, Jojo. That's when you step back into science. See? See?
Well, I don't know. What are those called? Like, because narrative came back to me real quick, but I don't remember. What is it just called a nonfiction writing? Because I feel like we did writings like that, and those were my least favorite. But we would have to do writings that were on things that were true or whatever. Like writing about polar bears.
Oh, like I
didn't make up a story about polar bears. It was like polar bears live in the north. Polar bears live on ice.
Yeah, and that's where it got confusing because that was science.
Yeah.
I was like, it's blending. It's blending.
Yeah, this is crap.
So math, shout out to just being who you are. All the other subjects, really blurry.
Yeah, you're right. Because then history kind of crosses over in there too. Oh, this is getting complicated.
Right? So today, we're just trying to give y'all a little focus, but the breadth of what we were supposed to endure in middle school, reading, writing, English, whatever y'all called it, we want to talk about it today.
Yes. So starting with that, Morg, do you remember having to read like as a group?
Oh my gosh, popcorn reading? I remember it so well.
I hated that.
Because it was scary, right? Like all of your fate was in the hands of your classmate picking you next.
Yes.
Or your teacher picking you next because your classmates didn't pick you yet. And they're like ticking off names. I don't know how they knew.
Well, I remember because I remember one of my classes, and it was again rewards based, and it was if you called on someone who wasn't paying attention, you got a prize, and so all the kids would call on the same kid who was never paying attention.
Oh my gosh, the teacher needs to fix this.
Well, she quickly did away with that, and then it became you have to call on someone who hasn't been called.
Okay, good.
Yeah, but I think she stopped giving out prizes. But why on earth am I getting like a bookmark for spotting the kid who's not paying attention?
Right? That's like, it's like so good in theory, but like so poorly executed by children. It's like, yeah, this will get everybody, to pay attention. But no, everybody's just like, I know what gets me a prize. This sucker.
Exactly. And like, I'm not going to be the reason someone else gets a prize.
The path of least resistance. That's what people are always going to take. Come on, teach.
Exactly.
But yeah, popcorn reading was just a high stress situation as a kid.
It really was. Like, I don't feel like I retained the information that was read because I was always so worried about if I was going to be called on next.
Well, yeah. And depending on reading speed, like, if you're a slower reader, you like can't even catch up with the kid reading too fast. Or if you're a fast reader, then you're like another page over and then they call on you and you're like, oh, where was that loser at? Ugh. And then you like flip back a page. That's like what kids would do. They'd be like, oh, I was ahead.
Oh, okay. I never had that problem.
No, you would call on somebody and they'd like flip back a page and be like, oh, sorry, I was ahead. And you're like, oh, okay, we get it, Denise. We get it.
Oh, we see you, Denise. Did you know it all?
Maybe that's a tactic, though, of actually they weren't paying attention at all. They're just like, okay, be on the page ahead.
Oh, then Denise, my hat's off to you. I'm very impressed.
Outsmarted us all. Yeah, but popcorn reading, I don't even know. It wasn't even the fact that I had to read aloud. It was just all the elements of like being peer reviewed as well.
Yeah.
If you couldn't get a word right, like a new word, and you get stuck on it, and then your teacher's like, sound it out. You're like, no, lady, I'll sound it out in my head.
Well, and like that drives me nuts too, because I feel like the older I get, and especially having lived in Spain where, their first language is not English and they're learning English. And it's like you see all of these words and the way they're spelled and you're like, yeah, how on earth does enough, the GH make an F sound or whatever? And then the PH at the beginning of phone also makes a F sound. And it's like, how on earth can you tell some kid to just sound it out when it's like, I'd be like, yeah, okay, enough.
They're doing us dirty. The English language is doing us dirty.
Yeah, I mean, it just doesn't work. Like colonel. Morg, I hate that word. Like colonel in the military.
Oh, yeah, colonial or whatever it looks like.
Yeah, colonial or island. Oh, I could go on. Stop me, Morg. I read it island in my mind.
Pahone. A pahone. He picked up the pahone and called his dad.
Pahone. Yes, so this sounding it out thing, I don't love it.
Wasn't cool.
Was not.
But I do remember after one event in particular, after recess, we would read. I feel like teachers would do that to like calm us down after a hot day at recess.
Yeah.
And so come in. We're going to read, 2 chapters of Hank the Cow Dog and Popcorn Read It. And I remember one day I came in from recess and I mean, kids are weird. So of course I was being weird, but I like bent myself over and slid my like self under my desk. So it looked like nobody was sitting at my desk while we were doing popcorn reading, because I was like, well, if nobody sees me, they won't pick me. And all of a sudden my teacher's like, where's Morgan? I didn't know what to do. So then I just like, sat up and was like, I'm right here. But I didn't have my book open and hadn't been listening. And I was supposed to read. I don't know, Joe. See, the stress was getting to me.
I thought you would have at least played it off and like come up and been like, I'm sorry, I dropped my pencil. Like, but you're just like, oh, I'm here.
Yeah, I'm present. Okay.
I've been here. Don't worry about why you couldn't see me for the past 4 minutes, but I'm here.
And what was my plan? Like to stay hunched like that for 20 minutes underneath my desk? I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
There was no long-term solution to what I was doing.
Yeah, not well thought out. And that seems like it would get really uncomfortable really fast. But applaud your dedication.
I was like, no Hank the Cow Dog for me today, lady. I can't do it. Not doing it.
I'm not doing it. I'm out today. Well, Morg, I hated popcorn reading like with all my heart, but I feel like mine stemmed from when I was 6. And like learning how to read. I was a really slow to learn reader, I guess. And my sister, who had previously done like a play at the local community theater, wanted to go audition for.
You mean the community theater?
The theater? Yes, that is the one. Excuse me. I said it wrong. But so she wanted to go try out for Cinderella. And my dad was like, oh, why don't you come too? And so I went. And I was just going to go to watch my sister try out. But my dad, being a good parent and encouraging parent, encouraged me to audition too. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'll do it. And I get up on the stage and I have no idea how to read. And so they're like waiting for me to respond. I was auditioning for like stepsister or something like that. And they're waiting for me to respond. And I'm just like standing there staring at them. And they're like, it's your line. And then the girl next to me had to read me every single line. So something that should have taken like 2 minutes took like 10.
Oh, man, that's painful.
It felt like it was painful. But I feel like, that's where, I really struggle with reading out loud. I hate it. And I feel like that's where it comes from.
It started there.
Yeah.
So I have to ask, did you get the part?
No, Morg, are you kidding? I'm sure that...
Okay, I had to check.
You're right, and I appreciate that, but no, I think the director was probably like...
Get this girl out of my sight.
Yeah, was probably like, how do I get this kid off the stage? And like, I need to put up signs, apparently, that say, if you can't read, don't audition.
I guess I'm wondering what... So, was it that the words were harder than you were able to read, or you just were like not... Like you were just like stunned and you couldn't read it, or it was like none of the words, it was all gibberish?
I mean, I remember at this point in my life, like I was really, really struggling. Like I worked with my mom regularly to learn how to read, and I feel like I wasn't really retaining it. So I remember looking at the words and not really being able to recognize any except for but I mean, the page was like filled with words and I didn't know which ones were mine. And even when she pointed to them, I was like, I don't know what they say.
Yeah, no, that's hard because if you're just given a paper with, a bunch of people's lines on it, like that's a lot of pressure for that moment. It's almost like you needed like just those exclusive lines handed to you. Maybe then.
Yeah,
except you did say the only word you knew was the. So I'm still
Well, or even if maybe someone had given me a script beforehand, I'm acting like a real diva in this scenario. And then I could have memorized the lines and then showed up and done it, because if someone would have fed them to me.
And had a glass of water delivered to you at exactly 32 degrees. I like it cold.
Yeah. And then I work from my trailer and I come out when I'm ready.
No, that makes sense. I feel like a kid, like you were young too, like you said 6. Like I feel like you need some like, okay, this is how it's gonna go down prep work. Your sister needed to mentor you here.
Yeah, like, but yeah, and what the heck? My dad thought this was a good idea. Like, my dad knew that I couldn't read.
I don't know. Sometimes ideas just, sound good in the moment, and then you're like, oh man, I really set her up for this one.
Yeah. Oh, he definitely said he was sitting in the audience just cringing, like, what have I done?
My daughter's never going to read again.
But I overcame it, Morg.
Yes. And you're standing here today. Y'all, she can read. I don't have to read her what we're talking about every week. It's okay.
But fortunately, we're not doing something where we have to read to each other. Talking about how I really struggled with like that aspect of school, but I feel like you were really good at it. I mean, gosh, we listened to you tell a story that was very well written for like a 7-year-old, and you even knew the word illustrated.
Oh my gosh. Right. Like, what was that about? I must have copied that off a book.
I don't know, because I have a piece of paper that you and I wrote a story together, and it also says written by Morg and illustrated by Joe. And I was like, gosh, like Morg knows this word. But anyways, like all that to say, you were in Expo, which was like, I've always felt like such an elite club. It was like for the kids who didn't need extra help with reading or writing, they got to go to another class and they got to do who knows what, but it always seemed really fun. And like I understand the purpose of Expo is it's for kids who are at like working at a higher level than their classmates. So it's like they need to do something that stimulates them. But at the time, Morg, I was so resentful towards Expo. I hated Expo.
Well, first of all, the name was poorly chosen. Like, the name Expo stands for extra potential. Like, I think they've had to change it now. The school district has not call it that anymore because
Really?
that's a poor name.
It is. No wonder I felt like a loser.
Oh, you have regular potential.
But Morg, she has extra.
And so Expo, you essentially had to, like you said, it was kind of an exclusive class because you took a test to get into it.
Yeah.
And then everybody knew that the people who did get into it had extra potential, like the class named itself. And of course, they shortened it so that kids didn't know that. But I was like, what? This is what the name of this class means later on in life?
I mean, I had no idea, but I mean, even without the name extra potential, we all knew it was for all the smart, like creative kids. I took that test like 3 times and didn't get in.
And that is how the caste system in Denton was created. But it seriously was. You like created that in school. You like you knew who the kids were in Expo, and you knew the kids that weren't in Expo. You're like, oh, you go to reading?
Yeah. And you guys would always come back to class and you'd have like some weird little robot you made and everyone was like, la, 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 la. And we were just sitting there struggling. We were writing words out next to a passage to summarize it. And it was horrible. What did you even do in Expo?
To this day, I don't really understand the standardization of the curriculum in there because, to be honest, I was doing random stuff. Like, it wasn't...
Oh, y'all played it loose.
Yeah, we played it real loose. Like, one of the projects I got to do in elementary school in Expo was create an 8th wonder of the world if I were to create one. It's like whatever I wanted. I was like, here's my 8th wonder of the world. And I think I made like an amusement park. That's not creative.
But Morg, according to the test, you're creative.
I have extra potential to burn.
What? I never got to do anything like that. That's awesome.
Yeah, and so I feel like they just made you do like more classwork, but it was always like with a spin of creativity. So I had to research all the other 7 wonders of the world and then say why mine was comparable.
Yeah. I mean, it always looked a lot more fun. But like you said, it was like your creativity is part of the reason like you got into Expo. And I always felt like I was a creative kid. But when it came,
yeah, you are.
Yeah, but Morg, when it came time to take that test, which again, why is it just a test to get you into Expo? I like choked. I remember my mom even telling me like they were going to make you draw something and you needed to think outside of the box for your drawing. And they gave me a straight line and I choked and I drew a ladder.
Yeah, like what kind of psychological tests were they putting on us? Like, I don't even understand who was grading whatever these 7-year-olds drew. to be like, this one has extra potential. Yep.
Wow,
Because
this one's really going places.
it was literally like a series of 6 boxes with half drawn pictures in them. And you were given scenarios to, do something creative with the half drawn pictures. So if it looked like a house, I just remember like, do not draw a house. That, like, if the half picture looked like a house, don't draw a house. You want to draw something different so you show you're creative. I just remember that. That was the example I was given because my sister was already in Expo also. I had to live up to a family name.
So, did your sister tell you that?
Yeah, no, my sister, I don't think she told me that. I think she just I just was told to not do what the picture looks like. That's what I kind of understood it to be.
Okay, like in the directions they told you that.
No, like I think my mom said it beforehand. She was like, yeah, you want to be more creative than what it looks like. So maybe she did give me that example. Like, if it looks like a house, don't draw a house. Or if it looks like a ladder, don't draw a ladder.
Don't draw a ladder. Wah, wah. I totally choked. That's probably exactly what someone said to me is if it looks like a ladder, don't draw a ladder. And in the test, I was like, all I can think of is a ladder.
The one thing that this picture could become is a ladder.
I totally choked. Didn't get into Expo. Really resented those Expo kids. They always looked like they had a great time. But it sounds like you don't even know what you did in Expo. So, I mean, I guess that makes me feel better. I don't know that it really does, though.
No, it was like I feel like maybe an Expo teacher is the best teacher to be because it was literally just like, these kids are doing fine in all their stuff. So literally just use their time.
Oh, yeah.
That's how it felt.
Seems like a low pressure gig.
Yeah, they already have extra potential. They're going to be fine.
They got plenty of potential to spare.
One of my Expo classes, this was in middle school, we spent like a 6 weeks period mummifying an orange. And
what?
And the whole thing was like, yeah, we're just going to really deep dive on Egyptian history. Like, they were playing it fast and loose with the curriculum, and we were supposed to like follow the old traditions of how they mummified pharaohs. And so I performed it on an orange, and I actually put it in a tomb or a mummy box. I made a mummy box.
And what did you learn?
I mean, the whole point, I guess, was to focus on like this process that Egyptians had put so much effort into, burial and afterlife and whatnot. So I guess that's what I learned. But really, I was like, dang, okay, so we're going to spend a lot of time like mummifying this orange over the next 6 weeks. And I would check on my orange, make sure it wasn't rotting.
And how did it look, Morg? Did you unravel the orange at the end?
Yeah, we checked it if we had mummified it well. I mean,
and did you pass?
I think mine was pretty good. I think I made like a 90 on this project. So something was off.
Oh my gosh. Meanwhile, I'm doing popcorn reading and summarizing passages somewhere else in this school. Are you kidding me?
And I'm like dipping like paper mache and wrapping it around in orange and being like, yeah, this must have been how the Egyptians did it.
Oh my gosh. And I'm using blue highlighters and yellow highlighters and organizing which highlights are for what? The main ideas or for the supporting points?
Well, to that point, Joe, I feel like I missed some things on, the literary front because I was busy doing whatever the heck I was doing in Expo.
Yeah, you did, Morg. And I want to see if Expo really worked out. I have some literary devices pulled up. And to be completely honest with you, I didn't remember some of them, so I can't be so critical. But I want to see if you only learned...
Oh, shoot. I'm stepping into a trap.
But I want to see if you learned more than just mummifying an orange in Expo. So I'm going to ask you, do you remember literary devices at all? Like, can you think of any? Like a simile is a literary device.
Okay, there. Simile. Definitely.
Yeah, so it's... I don't know.
Metaphor.
You got it, Morg.
Personification. Okay. I think that's about all I've got.
Okay. I was going to say, Morg, don't say them all because then I can't ask you if you know any of these. But they're basically just ways to, what's the word? I want to say improve your writing or make your writing, give it more depth or make it more like interesting, I guess. I don't know. I think I just butchered the definition, but or what you use them for. But that's okay.
No, yeah, I think you're right. I think.
Are you ready for this one?
Yes, I'm so ready.
So can you tell me what is, and I'm not even sure on the pronunciation of this. Can you tell me what a colloquialism
Colloquy?
colloquialism is? I might have to Google search what that how you say that. Colloquialism.
I literally have colloquialism is like a word that's lost on me. But I might call out that this is not fair if it's being read to me wrong.
It is. It's colloquialism.
Oh, okay. Colloquialism. Still don't know, but so glad we got it said right now.
But I would also like to demonstrate that I sounded out that word and I got it wrong.
Colloquialism.
There's so many vowels.
Sounds like how you like some backwoods teacher would say it. Okay, we're gonna learn about colloquialisms. Okay.
There's so many vowels. Colloquialisms, Morg. Do you know what that is?
I really don't. I apologize. But I do know what spices I should put on an orange to mummify it.
Well, I'm glad you know that. And I'm thinking you're going to have to show me how to mummify an orange because now I'm curious. But this is, so these are words or expressions that are used in like informal everyday speech. So like, for example, gonna is a colloquialism.
Okay. That makes sense.
Or another one that they give me as an example that made me laugh was da bomb. I wonder what year this was written.
Oh my gosh. I want to say 2002.
You think? I was even going to say a little like when we were in high school, maybe like 2005.
Still the OOs. That's what I would say it was written.
Still the OOs. I like that. And I like that's the way you're describing the early 2000s. The OOs. Can we get this to catch on?
That's a colloquialism.
Oh, Morg. Oh my gosh. She did belong in Expo, everyone. She's so quick to learn.
Extra potential.
So much extra potential. Can I have some?
I'm oozing potential.
Oh my gosh. I'm still resentful. I can't handle this. Okay, Morg, are you ready for the next one?
Okay, hit me with another one.
An allegory. Do you remember what an allegory is?
Oh my gosh. Okay, yes. So an allegory, a great example of an allegory would be the Animal Farm. And it's an example of, society or something written in terms of a story.
Morg. Amazing. You guys, she's proving her Expo thing was working. My plan is failing.
That's just the biggest example I can think of. But I just remember everyone's like, it's the quintessential allegorical story.
Oh, okay. Well, and you even got the example they used too, because they said Animal Farm is perfect example of an allegory. Okay, Morg, last one, and I got to make it a hard one.
Uh-oh. Well, I didn't get colloquialism, so I'm 1-1 right now.
Well, I also pronounced it. I butchered the pronunciation on that, so that might be why.
There was a judging error.
How about, do you remember what a euphemism is?
A euphemism. I mean, I don't think this is exactly right, but it's an example for something or but I don't know I don't know much more of a term than that for it.
Yeah, no, you're definitely on track. I mean, usually you hear it with like sexual euphemism, like in songs, like my milkshake brings all the boys to the yard. It's like when you're saying something, but you're really saying something else. Like an example could be like, when you say you refer to your butt as your rear or something like that.
Oh, I see. Okay. And so you minimize the maybe term you're giving it?
Yeah, it's like you're avoiding saying something. Like, when people die.
You make it more mild.
Yeah, so look at you. Guys, Morg, I can't even be mad.
About Expo?
It's so good.
Man, these are hard though.
But you got them. Meanwhile, I just showed that I learned nothing in reading. I pronounced the one word wrong.
Jo is set to prove to me that she hates reading and make me admit it.
Ugh, but my plan backfired to make you look like Expo didn't do anything. And what did I do? I made myself look bad.
Wow. Well, those were a walk down memory lane as far as my learnings go.
I'm impressed how quickly it came back to you because I was like, oh, there's no way she'll remember this stuff.
I feel like I was just like pages of stories flying past my eyes while I thought about these things. Animal Farm. Whoa. It all comes back.
It all just comes flooding back to you. Metaphors, similes. Morgan's dodging these things as pages continue to fly.
Yeah. It's like the Matrix, but inside of a book, you know.
Look at that creativity once more, everyone. Okay, we're done talking about Expo. I will not bring it up again.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry to bring this trauma back into your life.
It's okay. It just gets me. It's just, there's so much envy there, Morg. I think that was the root of it all, was I was so jealous.
Joe, you should make a eighth wonder of the world, okay? There's still time.
Maybe I will. And you know what I'm not going to make is an amusement park. But I've also got like 20 years on you, so.
So you have a big name to live up to.
I do.
A lot of time. Okay, well, Joe, another thing that I always think of that falls into this theme this week is cursive and learning to write cursive, learning to, do this thing that I now never use. And I feel like our parents and maybe our grandparents are devastated with our inability to write in cursive, but I really have tried a few times in my later years and it's bad.
Really? Oh, well, mine's bad. I look at letters from my grandparents and stuff and they have beautiful cursive handwriting.
Yes.
I write in cursive, but I also mix it with, do we just call it print or I mix it with?
Yeah, print. That's what we call it.
Okay. So I mix it with non-cursive letters. So it's a real mess. And some of the letters, I don't do them how we learned, like D's. I don't do all those squiggles. I just write like a regular D.
So use cursive.
Cursive. Is that like personal cursive, my own cursive?
Well, I was going to say print cursive.
Oh, print cursive. There we go. I use cursive. That's exactly what I use. But I mean, I feel glad that I at least know it so I can read it because I feel like kids nowadays can't read cursive, right?
Yeah, some kids can't. I definitely can read it, but I feel like I always have had really ugly handwriting. And so it never really helped that I was trying to improve that because I was told later in life I hold my pencil wrong, and I feel like I never got that corrected. And so I do think it maybe adds to why my handwriting is so bad. But it's just, a really hard habit to stop because that's how I do everything.
And can you explain? Maybe it's not something you can explain, but how do you hold a pencil?
Well,
you pinch it? You've got all your fingers together like little T-Rex hands?
Yeah, little T-Rex hands, and it cramps, but it's just like how I've always done it.
Or are those Italian hands? I'm looking at Morg's hand, and it's like the classic Italian hand, but holding a pencil.
I'm showing Joe right now.
Wow, really? You hold all of your fingers. You use all of your fingers to hold a pencil.
Yeah, isn't it supposed to be just between my index finger and middle finger? But instead,
yeah, it's just supposed to rest.
I write very weird, and it has impaired my ability to improve my handwriting.
I've never noticed that.
T-Rex hands.
T-Rex Italian hands.
That's where some of my potential got lost.
I had no idea, but have you tried to adjust it and it's just now you're just so used to it you can't?
Yeah, as an adult, but it's really hard for me not to do it. So it's like bad posture, right? You have to be really conscious of it and try to adjust. But I don't got time for that.
Morg's got better things to do. Let's face it, we're all on the computer anyways.
But my cursive also always looked ugly because of that. So I just never really bought in.
Yeah. Oh, I just feel like I was I didn't have time to make it look good. I was never concerned with how pretty my handwriting was. I was in a hurry and it was gross.
And there we go.
But, I feel like we grew up more when it was kind of that transition from cursive didn't seem to have so much importance and they were putting more of an emphasis on learning how to type. Oh my gosh. Do you remember pause in Typing Town or something like that?
Oh, I totally remember Pause. So Pause, well, let me just say, when we were in elementary school, it was like a coming of age of computers, right? Like my family didn't have a
Yes.
computer in my household, and our, computer lab at elementary school had just been built. And it was just this like time where I feel like nobody really knew what we were going to use from, of course, now what we would use computers for. But it was like a free for all also in typing class. Like people were on Microsoft Paint. Remember Paint?
Oh, I loved Paint.
Yeah. And so, but we would have to do that typing class pause where we would get little awards for typing quickly enough or typing the words correctly. I was never very good at it though.
Oh, I wasn't either. And I mean, I guess you could kind of see my attitude as a child. I didn't care either. It was like I got I think over the course of a year, I got 2 like pins total. And, people would display them on their backpacks and they had like 30. And I got 2 and I just threw them into my backpack. I was like, I did not care about typing. And do you remember they would put a black box over our hands so we couldn't look at our fingers?
Yes. Oh my God. It was like over the keyboard.
Yes. And it drove me nuts. I would always try to look under it. And the teacher would be like, the point is so that you can't see your fingers. No.
Yeah. But to me, that's so silly, right? Because I get they don't want us dependent on looking, but even now I don't know.
Really? I feel like now I can type without looking, but I mean, I do have to look down occasionally. And I guess I am thankful because I did once notice recently that I was in like a public computer lab type deal and I was typing and I was looking at the screen at what I was typing, and the person next to me was probably only like maybe 5 to 10 years older than me. I'm not really sure, but they were like pecking like the one finger and they kept looking at the keyboard and looking at the computer screen, and I felt so thankful that I could type. And like it took me probably half the time, if not less, to type like a paragraph.
Yeah, I used to work with a guy who was a software engineer, Joe, who was a pecker. And I was so like, oh my gosh, do you know how much this would help your job if you learned to type? I was like, whoa. Because I mean, in no way was he a bad software engineer. He knew how to type code, but it was like he didn't know how to type. Like it was just amazing to me.
Yeah, I feel like that would just take so much more time.
Yeah, I guess maybe it didn't impair him as much because I guess as you're typing code, you're kind of thinking anyway. So, it's like maybe more start, stop than writing a paragraph would be. But I was still like, whoa, this is a lot for me to watch.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, and you think with a job like that, you would know how to type.
Yeah. That this whole discussion just reminded me that my grandma at around age 80 decided that she wanted to shout out because she wanted to learn how to use a computer and to type. And so she went to her local library and took a typing class. And the best part was that she was told to put her mouse on the start button in the computer they were teaching her on. And she like literally picked up the mouse device and like put it on the screen at the start button. And they were like, oh, so we're going to have to go a little bit backwards to go forwards.
Oh, that's great. And is this just, to check, is this grandma who you planned the wedding for?
No, this is my other grandma, my dad's side.
Okay. Oh my gosh, that's great though. I love that she really had zero exposure to computers.
Yeah, she's like, here I am. And I'm going to need a huge lesson. A huge lesson.
And how is she now with a computer?
Oh, she's great, Joe. She's on Facebook. She is typing away.
She loves Facebook. I love her messages on Facebook. They make me laugh.
She's like commenting on photos with 12 people and it'll be like, I know who's the cutest. And I'm like, Grandma, no!
And they're like your friends from college and stuff. And then she always signs it. Even though it says her name, she always signs it, Grandma.
I love it. So the typing class worked. So thank you to the local library.
Yeah. And it's never too late to type, to learn how to type.
That's right. I feel like also because we were in the era of schools just getting computers and everyone figuring out this together. There was a lot of like free reign for students too, to like kind of like
Yes.
play games or whatnot, because of course like monitoring systems weren't really built yet. The internet was like the
Yeah.
newest thing ever. And so I remember I used to go to like multiple websites and just play games when we'd be in computer labs. Like there were like learning games too. Like it wasn't like I was playing video games, but I would go to like, I forgot what it was called, like funbrain.com. That was one I was always on.
That was a Fun Brain. I do remember that. I feel like that one though came out a little bit later. Like I feel like it wasn't as primitive as some of the websites that we were first looking at. Like I remember the pause typing game, you know, everything was like 2D looking. And then there was the infamous Morg Oregon Trail. You remember Oregon Trail?
Oh my gosh, yes. I feel like our school actually allowed us to play that one though. Like we were
Yeah.
learning how it was to travel across the country in a wagon.
Yeah, which was I guess it was educational because, you know, it's like you always would die of like scarlet fever
Yeah,
or attacks or something like that, or your
you just
wagon floats
never would
down the
win.
river. Yeah, you never made it to Oregon or wherever you were going. But also though, I feel like the video games and like the computer games now, like if these kids only knew, like I feel like we have one of those moments where it's like, when I was your age,
I know.
our video game you couldn't win at, and
Our game was educational and it was like literally like
yep.
pixelated and just would tell you you died. So, yeah, pretty bad. But I would say that nowadays computer labs are way more monitored, because I was a substitute teacher for a while, and one time I substitute taught a computer class for a high school, and I could see everybody's screen on my like parent screen, and I could send like passive aggressive notes that would be like, you need to get off this website, just like from my parent computer, and I was in the same room as these
Oh,
students.
that's crazy, but that's
And I
awesome.
was like, why is this the way that we're going to react to this? I'm not going to talk to you. I'm just going to type this message. And it would just like block their whole screen until they like acknowledged it.
That's amazing though. But I mean, and it's that almost to me, I know that it's weird that it's like you're not going to physically talk to each other, but when you get up and walk around, like kids are smart enough that they can close out of the tab.
Yeah.
Although now you can look back and you can open the most recently closed out tab. But I mean, they're obviously going to close out of it. You know, they're going to be aware of when you're walking around, but if they don't know you're watching their screen and then all of a sudden that pops up,
Yeah. Maybe that was the point. Maybe they didn't want the students to know the teacher had that access, because that was like what was written to me in the substitute notes. Like, just send this message when they're on a website they shouldn't be, or, you know, YouTube or something.
I feel like there's got to be some teachers out there who have some crazy stories of like things that these kids were on and these kids weren't aware. You know, like maybe
Yeah.
sending messages to one another, or they're like watching something or playing a game they shouldn't be. I don't know. Like that would make me feel weird.
Oh, I'm sure 100%
Yeah.
cringy.
But the technology is amazing.
One last thing, Joe, as we're at our almost end of our episode, I wanted to bring up two literary devices
Oh boy.
that fit into almost every story or book we've had to read. But I wanted to make it a little bit fun by saying, who would be the protagonist and antagonist in your life right now?
Ooh, well, I feel like I am definitely always, even though I don't necessarily believe it, I'm always trying to tell myself I'm the protagonist of my story. I am chugging along, Morg, trying to get my stuff done, trying to live my life. As far as antagonist goes, I mean, at this point, I feel like, you know, it feels really obvious, but I feel like the root of it is this COVID. Because, I mean, you know, I feel like I'm dodging people
Yeah.
without masks and stuff, but at the root of it is this scary, like, monster virus thing that's like my enemy. But I guess I'm not really trying to defeat him personally, unless sitting in my house alone and not really actively doing anything qualifies as that.
So you're leading.
My story kind of sucks right now.
We're in a slump we're in writer's block with JoJo's story.
Right? There's no climax or anything. It's like, and she sat in her house day after day after day after day and didn't leave for fear of COVID. The end.
So good. So good. That's going to fly off the shelves.
New York Times bestseller, Morg. I can already see it. But what about you? Do you have a better answer? Who's the protagonist and antagonist in your life right now?
Okay, so when I was thinking of this question, I'm gonna actually separate the two. They're not in the same story, but
Oh.
they're in my life right now. So antagonist, I'm gonna start with first is my next door neighbor is the
Ooh.
antagonist of my life right now. Um, they are obsessed with their property line. And I am so tired of it. We have like a weird passive aggressive war going on. The odd part is she like doesn't acknowledge that she's obsessed. So what they do is they always put their trash can out in the street at their property line. First of all, it makes our pun intended neighborhood look trashy. And second of all, I don't even want to park there. So I have a driveway. I don't know why it needs to stay out, but she does it so that nobody parks too close to her property line in front of my house, which is weird because in my neighborhood, we don't have an HOA and nobody owns like right access on the street. Like you can park anywhere. And so it's just confusing overall because she's just trying to like monitor something that we have no control over. Like there's a car in front of my house. I can't do anything about it. And there's no reason for me to get annoyed. That's me avoiding an HOA fee.
Yeah. So it seems like she really just doesn't want anyone to park in front of her house, even, or like her property. Because I shouldn't even say house, because I guess her property goes like blurs with your lawn.
Yes, exactly. It's like an obsession with her property line. So one time I had a friend park too close to her trash can that she leaves out, and she literally came and asked us to move our car or the car. And I asked her why, because I just think it's weird anyways. And she's like, oh, and this is the part where it's like, it's clearly like she's obsessed with it because her reasoning was like, well, one time a branch fell from that tree. So I'm really just trying to protect y'all. And I was like, a branch fell from my tree and you're worried about my car. Like, it's like,
Yeah.
there's no real reason that you have besides you're clearly just obsessed with your property line, but you're using like this reason to get us to move. But it's not worth an argument, so it's just weird.
Well, I mean, that's crazy though, because, and you haven't said anything to her, like you're just kind of like, rolling with it or like letting her kind of leave her trash can out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's really worth like a neighborhood brawl, but she's my antagonist right now. She is who I am. What is it? She is a person who actively opposes or is hostile to someone, an adversary. That's her.
Did you just like
I had it ready, Joe.
Nowhere? Oh my gosh, I was going to be like, what the heck? Morg has a more amazing memory than I even knew.
Yeah, so but yes, she is that for me right now.
Honestly, I feel like now that we're all spending a lot more time at home, I'm betting a lot of people are kind of having
neighbor drama. I bet you're right.
Yes, more like a little off topic, but I went outside a few weeks ago and this has happened twice now. One of our neighbors, I think they got a new dog, and the dog does bark a lot, but whatever, it's a dog. And then our other neighbor came out and she just started yelling, "Shut up!"
Oh my God, people are losing it in your neighborhood.
They're losing it. And she's done that twice now.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So if y'all have bee baggage about neighbors, clearly there's some things going on. Send them our way.
There's some
we
stuff
will discuss further.
Yes. And okay, who's your protagonist then?
Yes, the protagonist in my life right now. So, just to give the definition, the leading character or one of the major characters in a drama, movie, novel, or other fictional text.
Or Morgan's life.
Or my real life. The protagonist in my life right now is definitely Amos, my little doggy. He is just my leading person right now, or dog. Personification right there.
Whoa, now she's just dropping these everywhere to rub it in my face, guys.
If Joe and I aren't friends anymore, you'll know why the podcast ended. Literary devices really got us. But no, little Amos is, just who I spend all my time with. And he's like my big cheerleader. I'm working in this office all the time, and he just, it's a guest bedroom. So there's a bed in here. He's just always around. He comes and he sits in my lap for a portion of the day. My day seriously feels like it revolves around him. It's like, wake up. Okay, let Amos out. Give Amos his medicine. Okay, give Amos his breakfast. Now let's go. Amos sit in my lap at 10 a.m. Okay, now you're done. Like everything is Amos driven. So he is my protagonist.
I'm sure he's loving it too. Like, what's he going to do whenever you have to start going back into the office?
I know. I don't know. I guess looking at the state of things, it doesn't look like that will be anytime soon. So we have some time to sit down, talk through it. Just kidding.
Really prepare him.
He won't remember a word I say. But I think that is all we have today, Joe.
Yeah, I feel like, man, we covered a lot. I've learned a lot about literary devices and Expo. We are 2Bs from Lil D, and you can follow us and send us your baggage on Instagram at 2Bs from Lil D.
Yeah, so as we said, we're going to be keeping on these subjects. We're going to go through math and history. So keep coming back and stay in school, kids.